Names can be deceiving. When I first heard of GoSub years ago, I figured it was just an Intellivision port of Activision Sequest. A good game, but not something that I'm going to rush out and buy day one. That said, I added it to my Good Deal Games order, and it sat, lonely and unplayed, on my shelf for 4 long years. Then, in the last couple months, I had 2 different guests over who both made the same comment. That's a pretty good game. So, let's plunge the depths and do a deep dive on GoSub. Welcome to Mike's Gaming Gala. I'm Mike, and this week we're talking about GoSub for the Intellivision. GoSub is a co-production between 2600 Connection and Intellivision Revolution. It comes in an atari soft style box, which means it opens at the top. You've got a little spot for your cartridge, and the manual and overlays sit inside. It's got a professionally printed manual, a JLP cart to save your scores and your progress in the game, as well as 2 overlays. Now you'll notice these 2 overlays are different styles. That's because one is for the arcade version and one is for the campaign mode. That's right, GoSub is a twofer. It's got 2 different versions of the game inside and you can play either. So let's take a look at the game and see what it's all about. So before I get into the game, I want to address something that's been present in all of my Intellivision reviews thus far. And that's the jail bars in my game footage capture. You see, unlike Atari 2600 where I have a Retro 77 that I can play my games with native HD output, my Intellivision is just the standard RF signal, which means I have to jump through some hoops to get it to capture. My current conversion method gives me a nice clean picture, but has these lines that shouldn't be there that come from the conversion. We call those jail bars. I've tried a few different methods, but I still find that this gives me the clearest picture. That said, one of you guys in the comments suggested I give the old VCR trick a try, so I'm going to be doing more testing, and if that's better, these jail bars should disappear. Okay, so when you first start up the game, you're going to be given 2 options. You can play GoSub, or you can play Super Pro GoSub. GoSub is the arcade style version of the game, and Super Pro is the campaign game. So let's start with GoSub. When you choose GoSub, you get a title screen with a nice colorful animation of an octopus eyeing your sub as it moves around the screen. He even moves his tentacles to the music, which is a nice touch. Pressing enter throws you right into level 1 of the game. The goal here is to get your submarine to the treasure chest without touching any walls. When you start moving, you can't stop though, only change direction. So especially in later levels, I'd advise having a look and plan a path before you start. Speaking of paths, you can maneuver between open sections on opposite ends of the maze, Pac-Man style. Just make sure there's nothing nasty waiting on the other side before you enter. To add to the difficulty, there's an octopus on screen that always moves towards you, but in every level you're equipped with 3 torpedoes that will fire in the direction you're moving to kill it if it's in your path. Once you shoot it though, another will spawn in a random corner, so sometimes it's better just to stay in an area and draw the octopus towards you before shooting past it or to the other side of the map rather than shoot it and have another one come in right where you want to go. Starting with level 5, you'll also need to grab a key before you get to the treasure chest. Just an extra objective to have you moving all over the map and add more difficulty. At the bottom of your screen is a status bar. It shows you, left to right, how many lives you have, how many torpedoes you have left, how many times you've killed an octopus, and finally, how many times you've died. There are 39 levels, and the goal is to get to the end, losing as few subs as possible. And that's GoSub. Well, arcade mode anyway. Let's have a look at campaign mode. Selecting Super Pro GoSub from the initial menu will take you to a familiar title screen. But when you press enter, instead of throwing you into the action right away, you've got a menu screen with a few options. At the very bottom, you can choose between easy and hard difficulty. All that does is affect the amount of lives and equipment you start with in the game. There are also several different submarine styles you can choose from, and you can choose the color of your submarine. I think we all know what needs to happen here. Once you've made your choices, hit the fire button and off you go. Contrary to the arcade game, you're dropped into a map screen that has 6 different areas on it. At first, only one will be accessible, but as you complete each section, the next one opens up. Octopus Outcrop is section 1, and when you click on it, you get a cute little cutscene. Each section has its own little cutscene prior to it, which is a fun touch. I like when games like this add that extra stuff. Now, when the cutscene is finished, we have to talk about what you're seeing here. This screen shows up before every level and gives you a rundown of what's going on with your mission and your supplies. As you can see, each section has 10 mazes to complete, so line 1 tells you what maze you're on. Line 2 is how many lives you have left. Line 3 is your torpedoes. Notice that here on easy mode, you start with 7 of them. Next, you have anchors. Anchors can be used during gameplay as sort of a pause button. They stop your submarine and any enemies on the screen so that you can assess your situation. Especially in later levels, this can really come in handy. Next are your compasses. Compasses can be used to return you to the map screen at any time. If you do return to the map though, your progress in the current section resets, so if you re-enter it, you'll have to start back from maze 1. Finally, at the bottom is all the different types of treasure you can get. That's right, unlike arcade mode, the treasure chests here actually have contents and can give you anything from extra lives and equipment to treasure that increases your point score. Note, this equipment does not replenish with each level. Use all of your resources wisely. Once you start playing, the gameplay is almost identical to GoSub, but obviously with the added pressure of limited equipment. This means that you'll spend more time trying to deke out the octopus in order to preserve your torpedoes. Which brings up an issue. As much as I don't mind this controller, this disc is not exactly a precision instrument. So as much as we'd like to think that we all could play like this, in fact, most of the time we're going to be playing like this. Funny enough, before I sent it off to DCPFX, I did get to play some of this with the long play controller, and using the D-pad it did help, so bonus points for them. Now luckily, there is a way you can replenish your equipment aside from the treasure chests. Every 5 levels you get a bonus stage where any bags of doubloons that you have are played for 3 new items each. What's even better is that among the items you can get more bags of doubloons, so if you're really lucky you'll get a lot of equipment from these stages. This is actually a great use for the compass. Get really good at the first 5 stages of Octopus Outcrop, and just keep coming back to play this bonus stage to rack up equipment and lives for other harder sections. Once you've beaten a section, you move on to the next one, which will have new surprises for you. Section 2 is Jellyfish Jungle, which has an added enemy, the jellyfish, that slowly falls from the top of the screen, often getting in your way. As well as plungers that demolish walls and you'll have to use to access a path that you need to follow. Complete all 6 sections and you have beaten Super Pro GoSub. So what did I think of GoSub? This is such a great game, it's way better than SeaQuest. I'm really glad I finally played it. Now you might be asking yourself, why in 2023 am I making a review on a game from 2016? Well, these are now on last call at intellivisionrevolution.com. So what that means is they made 300 of these, and when they're gone, they're gone. And they still have a few left, so if you want this game, if you saw the footage and you liked it, go buy it now, because it's not going to be available for much longer, and it's totally worth it. I really liked that campaign mode, the added pressure of limited equipment, and the new surprises in each section. Totally worth it for your Intellivision. Love this game. Pick it up. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it entertaining. My last few videos have all been Intellivision, so for the next few weeks we're going to shift focus. We're going to talk about more Atari and even some Nintendo. You won't want to miss it, so please, if you haven't already, subscribe and click that bell. Also, don't forget to like and comment. I love reading your comments. If you have any ideas for the channel, or if you have a game that you'd like me to review, I've got my contact information here. I've got email, I've got Facebook, and you can find me on AtariAge. So thank you again for watching my video, and we'll see you next time at Mike's Gaming Gala.